They've lost the city. Can Batman come back from this? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is the main timeline, and it takes place in the first years of Bruce Wayne's return to Gotham. Bruce has returned trained and ready to take back Gotham from the criminal element within it. He was able to stop the Red Hood gang and then fought against the Riddler as he shut the city down. But now, Batman has failed twice against the Riddler, and the city is lost. Bruce wakes up slowly with no idea where he is. The last thing he remembers was the balloon he was on crash landing into the flooding streets of Gotham down below. He walks out into the main room of the house he's in and he sees a young boy, and he asks how long he's been out. The kid tells them that since the new year. It's a different kind of calendar year now. Go have a look. Bruce walks to the window to see a new kind of Gotham, one overgrown with plants, no power, and a big question mark in the middle. Welcome to the 0 year, Mr. Wayne, or at least that's what Mr. Riddler calls it. Bruce calls up Alfred to let him know that he survived, and he explained that when the balloon hit the water, he dropped his suit and then remembers crawling away and passing out. Alfred explains that the city is lost. Riddler controls everything from an unknown location, and the city is overgrown because he stole some of Dr. Isley's rapid growing formula. He rigged all of the crossings off of the island with explosives, and he surrounded the city with chemical balloons threatening to detonate them if anyone tries to get into the city. Bruce asks if everyone tried to fight him, and Alfred explains that the first people did, but very few remain that will. Meanwhile, Gordon is waiting for a special ops team to land. They found a dark area in Riddler's communications, and they are parachuting 5 individuals in. Except it didn't work, and the drones begin to spy on them. And the Riddler asks, "Do you fellas have anything to say for yourselves?" The commander of the team pulls out a briefcase. "We aren't here to fight. We're here to resolve this. We brought you $50 million, untraceable, to end this." Gordon snaps, "You cowards! Lying pieces of..." and they hold him back. Riddler responds by asking them if they like dominoes, and then he hits a building at the edge of the city with a crane, toppling it over. It hits the building right next to it, which in turn hits the one next to that, right in line with the building that Gordon and the ops guys are on. To make matters worse, Riddler programmed the Riddler bots to open fire on them if they move, to ensure they don't get off the rooftop and they suffer. But he gives them one chance. They have enough time to get off one shot, and if they hit the right one, the others won't have their motion detectors anymore. The commander starts yelling for Gordon to shoot the one in front. It has to be the leader. But then Gordon snaps at him. "Nigma's the leader. They're robots. It's that simple." Batman shouts from the distance, "The eye! Shoot the eye, damn it! The camera drone! And then none of you move! Stay perfectly still!" Gordon takes the shot, shooting the drone and dropping it, and the robots all begin to shoot at each other until they blow up. Batman then launches an explosive to knock over a water tower, providing a bridge for everyone to get off of the building, and they all flee just as it gets crushed by the nearby building. He walks over to Gordon with a smile, and Gordon welcomes Batman back. Gordon brings Batman and the ops troops back to his hideout with Lucius Fox, and they all go over the plan. Riddler challenges everyone to give him a riddle every day. If he can't solve it, the city is free, but if he can, he drops them into a pit. The big issue is that the Riddler has complete control over the city, and they need to find out where he is and where he's doing it from inside the city. If they can get him to leave his signal on the television long enough, Lucius can track it back to him, and once they know where his signal is coming from, they can move on it. So Batman tells them, "Set it up. I'll keep Nigma on the line long enough." The next day, Riddler pops up on his screen asking if anyone will challenge him. It's day 27 of the 0 year after all. Batman rides up on his dirt bike with a big bat shield attached to the front of it, and he announces, "I'll challenge you, Edward." Everyone in the city looks on in shock. Is this the Batman that they've all heard about? "You've held this city in fear too long. Your so-called 0 year ends now, tonight." "All right, Batman, riddle away." While Batman was doing this, Gordon was climbing the tower that the TV was on so that he could set up the device while Riddler was distracted. He hooks it up and Lucius begins getting the signal. Now all they need to do is stall for 19 minutes. So Batman begins. "My riddle starts with a boy." The Riddler interrupts him. "A boy? Let me guess, he was standing in the middle of a village." And Batman interrupts him back. Now, Edward, if you want me to tell this riddle, you'll have to shut up and let me tell it." So Batman continues with the riddle, telling the tale of a boy that was so smart that no one would notice. The boy got fed up and eventually was standing in the center of the village, screaming, "Look at me!" embarrassing himself in a cheap hat. Riddler sees what Batman is doing though. The hat wasn't cheap, Batman, but you want to play therapist? So the Riddler deduces that Batman is ex-military, a discarded weapon of the military looking for a purpose. And Batman laughs. Haha, not even close. Riddler has had enough, and he presses the button, opening the floor beneath Batman, dropping him. Except, it doesn't even faze Batman. Instead, he taunts Nigma, telling him that he beat his mousetrap. So, Nigma sets lions loose on him. Batman is stalling for time, so he runs over to the car, cuts the fuel line, pours it into his mouth, and then he breathes fire in their direction, pushing the lions back. The fight fight continues as one of them chases him into the car. He then ties it up, escaping out of the busted windshield, and using his bat shield, he beats on the other lion, putting it down. Enough time passes that Lucius tracks the location of the signal, and then Riddler hits Batman with another riddle instead of being defeated. Everyone's attracted to me, everyone falls for me. Eventually, even you, Batman. Who am I? Gravity. And then he drops cars down on Batman. But just as he's about to get smashed, Gordon opens up a nearby escape hatch and they escape together. So Gordon and the Spec Ops guys begin moving through the underground while Batman breaks into the building and moves towards the elevator shafts. As Gordon is going through the tunnel, the commander of the Spec Ops team explains that they just need to find Nigma so he can radio in an airstrike at that exact location. Batman overhears them talking about a RIP code, and that makes him realize Nigma isn't in this building. He tried to call everyone and tell them, but his comms are blocked as the Riddler bots and the Riddler on a screen tell Batman that he failed again. First in the catacombs, then in the balloon, and now he's hanging here by a thread at the mercy of Nigma. Batman throws explosives at the bots and then he jumps onto the floor trying to call Gordon to tell him to cut off the comms, but it's not working. Riddler is jamming the comms. So Batman grabs one of the Riddler bots and he jumps out the window, falling to the ground far below them until he grabs a drone to slow his fall. Meanwhile, back in Lucius's van, a Riddler bot arrives and threatens to kill him until Batman tears it in two. The problem is, Nigma just cut off all communications in the city, so they can't call Gordon or the Spec Ops team. And if they radio in the RIP code, Nigma's going to get it and he'll get to call it in. And Nigma's lined the tunnels with explosives, so that when they activate the RIP code, Nigma will steer it towards those explosives, sinking the city. Since they can't stop Gordon or the Spec Ops team in time, Batman and Lucius need to go over the data again. They need to try and figure out where the Riddler is, and Batman only has time for one guess. He figures he has 40 minutes before the bombing, and he heads off to his single guess. He leaves a message for Alfred, letting him know that he's right. Batman needs to mean something good. He's already failed against the Riddler twice, and he's trying again. But maybe that's what Batman needs to stand for. Not winning, but failing and getting back up. Knowing that he'll fail 1,000 times and refusing to give up. He walks into the dark bay and demands to know if he's right. Did he figure it out? Is the Riddler here? And in front of Batman is the Sphinx from the museum, and the Riddler steps out, clapping for the Dark Knight. How? The pattern bounced like a coil, like an Egyptian board game, so the answer has been here all along. Now turn it off, Nigma, before millions die. Ha, because you say so? So he activates a series of lights and trip lasers. The real game is just beginning. He tells Batman that he's going to ask him 12 questions, and if Batman answers them all, he'll turn off the communications blackout. Batman knows that the game is rigged though, that's too many questions to answer before the planes bomb the city. And if he sets off a trip laser, it'll set off the balloons around the city. But the Riddler continues with, "Riddle me this, Batman." Meanwhile, Gordon, Lucius, and the commander are trying to figure out how to signal those planes to stop. The answer has to be simple, so Gordon gets a flare gun and he intends to climb to the highest point to signal them. Riddle 1. I am a house without the head of head knitted deep within the trees, a head that lies without its eyes stitched silently to tease. What am I, Batman? Batman looks at the Riddler bots next to him, and he can see their motion tracking, and he answers, a louse. The answer is correct, and he steps forward with 14 minutes remaining. Gordon begins to climb the tower nearby, but as he climbs, he drops the flare gun. Riddle 2. I have a single choice, 1,000 throats, I sell my tail for peanuts, but then, a bee. Batman cuts him off with the answer. Gordon makes it to the top and he can see the jets coming in for the bombing, so he starts looking for a way to signal them. Riddle 3. My greatest strength is that I know my worth. I hug myself so tightly at every birth. A blade. But Batman got it wrong. Then he begins to step forward, setting off all of the trip lasers, walking towards Nigma as he tries to gloat, because the motion tracking isn't tracking him. Riddler's signal is being blocked by Lucius, sitting outside with a giant penny as a conductor, the same penny from the front of Wayne Enterprises. While Batman grabs the Riddler, Gordon found a way to signal the planes to stop. He painted a bat signal onto a spotlight and he's shining it at them. So they take another lap to see what they should do. Batman keeps hitting the Riddler, and he demands to know how to turn the city back on. How does he end Zero Year? So the Riddler shows him an electrode on his chest tied to his heartbeat. The only way to reset the city is to hit someone's heartbeat with 1,000 volts of electricity. The Riddler doesn't believe even Batman can survive that. Batman takes it off of Riddler's chest, and he kicks him in the face, knocking him out. While this has been going on, the planes have been told to continue with their bombing. Ignore this signal. Batman walks over to the computers, and using a defibrillator, he shocks himself with the full 1,000 volts. He hits the ground as the computer is still reading. No signal, no signal. And then he wakes back up to Alfred giving him chest compressions. It worked. The city turned back on. The Jets reported in, and they head back home. Everyone across Gotham is cheering because Batman did it. He saved the city. Batman asks Alfred how he was even here, and Alfred explains that he was already in the city. He followed Lucius to this location because, as he told Batman, he might not agree with him, but he'll always be there to patch him up. The city was saved by Batman, and they got to work quickly making Gotham a happy place again. Riddler was one of the first inmates in the new Arkham Asylum facility, where he was bound and suspended to prevent him from doing anything else. And in the end of it all, Bruce went back to work at Wayne Enterprises, taking control of his company. That is the conclusion of 0 Year, a fun retelling of the first year of Batman by Scott Snyder. Personally, I loved this retelling. I felt it gave so much more personality to the many characters that are in Batman's history. If you guys want to chat about this or any other video, follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Comicstorian, or you can find me right now over at Eligible Monster, our gaming channel where we bring you gaming comic books, unnecessary censorship, and Let's Plays. I'll see you next time right here.